Alright, so after a long hiatus, Darth Vader number 3 came out this week, and I was so excited to get into some new Star Wars content. I started reading new issues of the Star Wars and Darth Vader comics when the two series relaunched earlier this year. While I've definitely wanted to talk about the Star Wars run by Charles Soule, this Darth Vader run by Greg Pak has really appealed to me, and after this week's issue, I had to talk about it. That being said, this video will contain spoilers for all 3 issues of the comic that have been released, including the one from this week. I'm going to quickly recap the first 2 issues and talk a little more in depth about the third issue, and then share my thoughts on the story as a whole. This new run finds us with Vader right after the events of The Empire Strikes Back. He is shattered from the events of his confrontation with Luke and seeks to destroy everyone who hid his child from him. Meanwhile, Palpatine is looking to speak with Vader, but the Dark Lord escapes his master's grasp before they make contact. Vader's quest brings him back to Tatooine, where he is haunted by memories as he traverses the Lars homestead. Vader's companion during this comic, a forensics droid named Z67, explains the history of the homestead to the Darth. Suddenly, the Imperial forces on the planet are attacked by pirates. Vader quickly slaughters the marauders and then travels to Coruscant. There, he visits Padme's apartment. Vader believes that Padme's allies must have stolen the boy from her. The two then find a beacon, which sends them to the planet Vendaxa. There we find a crew of soldiers are being attacked by natives. Vader arrives and again just tears through the creatures. The first issue ends with Vader finding that the leader of the crew is Padme herself. Issue 2 picks up with Vader pursuing the Padme lookalike. Once he finally catches her and is done toying with her, it is revealed that Padme is actually Sabe, one of the Queen's handmaidens, and played by Keira Knightley in The Phantom Menace. Vader is now looking for the people who took Padme before she died. We of course know this was Bail Organa, Obi-Wan, and Yoda, but Vader and Sabe seek answers and revenge. Vader and Sabe unite forces to fight off the locals, and Vader is constantly haunted by his memories of Padme. Vader shows weakness for a moment, agreeing to Sabe's terms to bury her soldiers, all who walked with her at Padme's funeral. Upon their departure, Sabe admits she stole security recordings that would be useful for finding Padme's killer, but she could never decrypt them, and she hid them on Naboo. The issue ends with the group heading off towards the planet. Now on to this week's issue. This issue really pulls at your heartstrings. The issue begins with Vader and Sabe exploring all the locations on Naboo that Anakin and Padme visited during their time on the planet in Attack of the Clones, including the fields where they have the picnic and the dinner room where Anakin fed her the pear. Suddenly, the two are attacked by Gregor Typho and Captain Tanra, former security forces for Padme. Now working as a complete group, the team of unlikely allies takes a Gungan sub in search for the security files. This is a great opportunity for dialogue where we learn of other characters' perspectives during Revenge of the Sith, including Typho's regret of letting Padme go to Mustafar alone. We also learn that Padme sent Captain Tanra and Sabe to Tatooine after the events of the Phantom Menace, in an attempt to free Shmi Skywalker. They were unsuccessful, since Shmi had vanished, when in reality she was freed by the Lars family. The pair admit their regret that they couldn't do more, but the moment is great and highlights Padme's compassion and consideration of Anakin. The group is then attacked by the same sea creatures we see in The Phantom Menace, but Vader helps the group escape into a Gungan building that serves as a shrine to Padme. We also see that the mural inside the shrine depicts the end of The Phantom Menace, with the celebration of Naboo, and the entire cast is present, including Anakin. The group of soldiers then admit that they too sought revenge for Anakin Skywalker, who served their queen well and vanished after her death. The group then finds the recordings, but it turns out to be a ploy, as the recordings show a meeting of Sabe and her soldiers, swearing to avenge the deaths of Padme and Anakin. Sabe, Typho, and Tanra then admit their plan, and their discovery that Padme and Anakin's deaths must have occurred on Mustafar, which they discovered was also Vader's domain. They then put together that it must have been Vader himself who killed the two heroes of the Republic. Vader, igniting his lightsaber, admits that it was him who killed them, feeling guilt and rage for his actions on the volcanic planet. The issue ends with the soldiers summoning a giant sea monster, with the group seemingly willing to die for the revenge they have sought for over 20 years. These issues have been nothing short of fantastic so far. Greg Pak's writing has been spot on, and the art by Raphael Aneko, sorry, I probably butchered your name, has been beautifully haunting. Some key elements of the story, particularly in issue 3 that I really enjoy, are the flashbacks that Vader has to his time with Padme, as well as a lot of the story blanks filled in around Padme's death. Starting with the flashbacks, we see that Vader's rejection from Luke has opened up a new wound for him, allowing memories of the past to flood back in, despite all of the work Vader did to suppress Anakin Skywalker. Seeing Luke fade into Padme in issue 1 and seeing all these key moments from the films play out in a comic form is such great visual storytelling. I also love that we learn more about Padme and her motives through this group of her followers. I alluded to this in the recap, but her trying to free Shmi after the Phantom Menace just adds another layer to her character and her love for Anakin. I also wanted to talk about Vader's mission as a whole and what I think about it. Vader, in reality, is searching for revenge he won't be able to find. We know that the only people who took Padme after Mustafar were Obi-Wan, Bail Organa, and Yoda. The first two are already dead by this point, and we know that Yoda will not be found by Vader. This essentially turns the story into Vader discovering a lot about himself internally through his interactions with characters like Sabe, Typho, and Tanra. I do wonder if the inevitable deaths of these three characters will bring closure to Vader, or if this entire run leading into Return of the Jedi will be about Vader trying to find his revenge for Padme's death. The story also initially started as a quest to learn more about Luke's past, but I doubt much more information on that can be uncovered either, since we know his story and there are little to no threads to follow there as well. Perhaps we will learn that the popular theory that Palpatine had more to do with Padme's death than we thought will be confirmed. I think that this could be very interesting motivation for Vader and explain a lot of his motives in Return of the Jedi if that were the case. Or perhaps the rest of the run will involve Vader hunting Luke, and we will see their paths intertwine between Soul's Star Wars run and Pak's Vader run, but all of that remains to be seen. Finally, I think what I love most about this comic is that it's a love letter to the prequels. This entire run so far, despite taking place after The Empire Strikes Back, has been really focused on Vader's relationship with Padme and the prequels as a whole. I'll admit, I'm not someone who particularly enjoys Darth Vader stories. While I find his psyche to be fascinating, I much prefer him as the boogeyman in the dark who comes out when called upon, just like in Rogue One. Obviously, I love Vader's role in the original trilogy, but I'm not always sure we need to fill in the blanks. That being said, I absolutely love this story, and I don't think I've ever been more fascinated by Vader's character. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this story goes moving forward. But what do you think of Greg Pak's new run on Darth Vader? What would you like to see? What are your theories? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please leave a like. We always appreciate it, and subscribe for more Star Wars content every Friday. Also, follow me on Twitter. I post daily Star Wars content as well as informational threads that you can learn more about a galaxy far, far away. That'll do it for this video. Thank you again for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.